The movie opens in the year 2044, where the world is plagued by environmental crisis and has lost 99% of its population due to solar fire. As people gather in safe cities, the ROC Corporation creates the Automata Pilgrim 7000s, ancient humanoid robots that can rebuild and function in this harsh environment. These robots come with two immutable protocols. They cannot harm any kind of life, and they may not change or transform other robots. At first, they were considered our salvation, but since they cannot stop turning into a desert, they're finally relegated to manual and servant jobs. On a rainy evening, policeman Wallace visits the ghetto where he finds a robot preparing itself. Horrified by this discovery, he shoots him in the head. Meanwhile, Jacq, an insurance investigator for ROC, is investigating his last case of the day, a robot accused of killing a dog. After conducting routine tests and determining that the robot is working properly, Jacq returns home to his pregnant wife, Rachel. While discussing plans for after the baby is born, she suggests hiring a domestic helper. However, Jacq gets lost in thoughts of his childhood beach. Later that evening, he receives a call from the police morgue to check on a peculiar discovery. Initially skeptical, Jacq is stunned to see the self-repairing Pilgrim, its mechanics intricately enhanced by someone skilled. The following day, he shares his discoveries with his boss, Robert, who remains skeptical about the idea of a robot without the second protocol as well. Jacq expresses that he's exhausted and requests a transfer to the coast, but Robert declines and assigns him the responsibility of resolving this problem. While tracing the serial numbers of the self-repairing robot and its modified components, Jacq reaches the imposing wall that separates the bustling city from the barren desert. He suspects that one of the workers at the facility used the robots to make the alterations. As if confirming his suspicions, a worker reveals that the altered components belong to 206, a still operational unit. With intrigue, Jacq heads towards 206's charging station. Suddenly, the robot appears and observes him from a distance, compelling Jacq to track its movements, ignoring the broken lock on a nearby door. Jacq ventures into the forbidden ghetto on the other side of the wall. This dangerous area is off limits, and anyone caught trespassing is likely to be shot on sight. Jacq finds himself in a tough spot as the wall guards start attacking him. To escape, he dashes into a shipping container. Inside, he discovers 206, the burnt robot, clutching a mysterious box. Sadly, when Jacq tries to inquire about it, 206 goes up in flames. The damaged robot is then taken to ROC's labs for examination. To their surprise, they find that this Pilgrim not only smuggled tools and parts, but also possesses a rare nuclear battery capable of powering a robot indefinitely. Unfortunately, the unit's circuits fry as soon as Jacq tries to gather information from it. Robert is furious because he believes the blame for the robot's self-damage lies with Jacq. However, he agrees to give Jacq the transfer if Jacq can provide evidence that a clocksmith is actually overriding the second protocol. Upon returning home, Jacq shares the news with Rachel, but she dismisses the idea and asks him to leave her alone. Determined, Jacq decides to investigate the area where the first robot was shot. While searching around, he discovers a hidden bag containing another nuclear battery. The following day, Jacq meets with Wallace and his partner Ellis to inquire about what they witnessed that day. Wallace agrees to assist Jacq in finding the clocksmith in the ghetto, in exchange for splitting the profit from selling the battery on the black market. As they venture to a red lighthouse, they come face to face with Cleo, a modified robot programmed for human intimacy. However, her capabilities extend beyond pleasure, as she can inflict pain at the request of her clients. The revelation unsettles Wallace, prompting him to take drastic action by shooting Cleo. As they make their swift exit, Jacq voices his disapproval of Wallace's rash decision. Undeterred, Wallace justifies his intentions to enable Jacq to track the clocksmith transporting Cleo. With a menacing glint in his eye and a knife in hand, Wallace reminds Jacq of their shared goal: to secure the promised payment before bidding him farewell. Jacq obediently follows Wallace's plan and tracks down the location where Cleo's repairs are done. He encounters Dr. Dupre, who denies being responsible for the modifications made to Cleo. With hope in his heart, Jacq entrusts the burnt robot's kernel to her, promising to reward her with his nuclear battery if she can uncover the truth about its alteration. Upon returning home, Jacq promptly relays his findings to Robert, only for his message to be intercepted by the ever-watchful ROC. The report is delivered to the head of security, Conway, who then takes it to the CEO, Hawk. Hawk instructs Conway to handle the matter. Shortly after, Jacq receives two messages. One is from ROC, stating that the case has been closed and he needs to return the kernel. The other is from Dupre, informing him that she's discovered something important. Jacq visits Cleo in the laboratory and is surprised to find her repairing herself using the combined shot kernel. Suddenly, their conversation is interrupted by the appearance of two children who shot Dupre and then chase after Jacq. He quickly escapes through the back door, and outside, he hops into a car, mistaking it for his taxi. However, Cleo is actually the one behind the wheel. She drives away while the other car relentlessly crashes into them, even resorting to shooting. Eventually, they reach the desert, where both vehicles collide as they navigate through a maze of barriers. The henchmen meet their demise, and Jacq sustains injuries. The following morning, Jacq regains consciousness and appeals to Cleo for assistance. Upon hearing him, she departs. Later on, she returns with 3 other modified robots in tow. They all carefully place Jacq on a makeshift car seat, pulling him along the desert terrain. Despite Jacq's attempts to direct them back to the city, they insist it's impossible and that they're taking him to a safer location instead. Since the robots do not adhere to human commands, Jacq attempts to leave on his own. However, the robots continue to trail him in order to protect him, as their first protocol dictates. When Jacq faints once again, they gently guide him back to the chair, nourish him with worms, and even construct a device to collect water for him to drink. Jacq makes a startling discovery that the robots have salvaged various items from the cars, including a nuclear battery. Meanwhile, back in the city, Rachel's water breaks, signaling the need for her immediate departure to the hospital. At ROC's, Hawk and Conway approach Robert and inform him that Jacq is responsible for a new wave of altered robots. However, Robert remains unconvinced and believes Jacq is still loyal to the company. Meanwhile, in the desert, Jacq asks Cleo for the bag of salvaged items. Among these items, he discovers a flare gun, which he decides to keep to himself, and his pager, which he uses to send a message to Robert before the battery dies. Robert receives the message and instructs Wallace to bring Jacq back. Wallace and Alice embark on a journey to the desert, and Jacq notices their car in the distance. Filled with hope that they've come to rescue him, Jacq shoots his flare gun to signal his location and appeals to the robots to halt their movement, even resorting to hitting one to make it stop talking. The police officers quickly catch up with them, but as soon as Jacq steps out of the car, he's struck by Wallace. In a swift move, he seizes the nuclear battery and hands it to Ellis. The robots demand that he cease his actions, triggering Wallace to open fire on them. With precise aim, he manages to eliminate 2 of the robots and takes aim at Cleo. However, Jacq intervenes just in time, using a flare gun to kill Wallace. Ellis, overcome with fear, flees in his car, refusing to take Jacq back to the city. Helplessly, Jacq watches as the remaining 2 robots salvage whatever parts they can from the destroyed pilgrims before departing. After realizing they won't be carrying him around in the chair anymore, Jacq quickly takes whatever he can find in Wallace's pockets and follows them. While they're camping, Jacq reveals that he has an extra battery and offers it to them in exchange for a ride to the city. Cleo responds by saying that they'll reach their destination tomorrow and there might be a vehicle available there. In the meantime, Hawk and Conway pay a visit to Robert at his home and bring him back to ROC's to listen to Ellis's report. Hawk explains that the first Pilgrim was originally a highly advanced artificial intelligence without any security measures, but it became too intelligent and no longer relied on humans. The last task this unit was assigned before being shut down was to program the two current protocols. That's why these mechanisms remain unbreakable. They were not crafted by mankind and elude comprehension by human intellect. Robert, along with Conway and two other officers, embark on a mission to the desert in pursuit of Jacq, with the intention to eliminate him before the robots transcend further beyond our understanding. The following day, Jacq and the two robots reach an abandoned factory. To Jacq's astonishment, he discovers that the clocksmith responsible for the modifications is actually another evolved pilgrim. He explores the factory and stumbles upon a collection of smuggled parts, meticulously laid out on the table, forming an unfamiliar and peculiar structure. After Jacq departs the room in search of a vehicle, the robots commence work on this structure. Yet they lack the final component, a nuclear battery. Despite Jacq finding a car outside, it's in ruins, causing him to lose hope. Contemplating the edge of a cliff, seemingly contemplating a leap, the clocksmith robot joins him. After an intense debate filled with philosophical musings, the true desire of the group becomes clear. They yearn to venture into the treacherous radioactive zone, a forbidden territory for ordinary humans. However, they require one vital component to make this hazardous expedition possible. Recognizing their need, Jacq comprehends the situation and offers up his nuclear battery. As the night envelops them with its darkness, Robert's team stumbles upon the lifeless body of Wallace. In this somber moment, they collectively decide to wait, uncertain of their next move. Suddenly, a message reaches Conway, informing him that two ladies will be joining their group. Hours later, another vehicle arrives, bringing Rachel and her precious newborn daughter into their midst. Robert is distressed by this and adamantly refuses to use Rachel as bait. When Conway tries to stop him from going back, Robert shoots Conway in the shoulder and is then shot in return. After enjoying drinks and dancing with Cleo, Jacq observes the pilgrims completing their creation. Utilizing the nuclear battery, they bring to life a creature that resembles an animal-like robot. Exhausted, Jacq eventually falls asleep, only to be awoken the following morning by the sound of an engine. The robots have repaired his car, so Jacq expresses his gratitude before bidding them farewell. However, he's forced to halt the car midway due to feeling nauseous, and it's during this moment that he notices a flock of scavenger birds flying overhead, leading him to discover Robert. In his dying moments, he accuses Jacq of betrayal and reveals that they have Rachel. Conway and his team arrive at the abandoned factory and begin shooting at the robots, causing one of the pilgrims to jump off the cliff. When the clocksmith pilgrim refuses to follow orders, Conway shoots it and collects its kernel. Just as he's about to destroy Cleo, Jacq suddenly arrives in his car. They open fire on him, but he continues driving forward. Rachel seizes the opportunity to grab a knife from her captor and stab him, allowing her to escape. Jacq hits two of the men with the car and shoots a third with a shotgun that he found, then races inside the factory while Conway is distracted by the animal-like robot. Conway enters the factory and discovers Jacq standing on the highest area, accusing Jacq of betraying his own people. Conway aims his shotgun at him with the intention to kill. However, the animal-like robot appears and pushes Conway off the cliff. Jacq picks up his own shotgun, anticipating the need to defend himself, but their interaction is interrupted by Rachel and the baby. The couple is reunited, and Cleo watches them. When Cleo gently touches the baby, the crying stops. Jacq assists Cleo and the animal-like robot in crossing to the other side of the cliff. After bidding farewell to Cleo, Jacq and his family depart in their car. Eventually, they reach the coast, where Jacq regains hope for a bright future. Do you think that Jacq and Rachel get their happily ever after, or will the ROC organization hunt down Jacq? What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel for more action sci-fi movie recaps. And hey, if you want to see another one, then make sure you click that video that's on screen now. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next movie recap.